99% human, 1% amazing. What does that mean and how can we unlock it? Two-time Teacher of the Year award recipient and NSTA Keynote speaker Daryl Williams Jr. is here in studio with his remarkable journey and how you can reach your own 1% amazing and foster student growth. Such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Audrey. That was awesome.
Well, we're so thrilled to have you. You have held many different roles, teacher, coach, administrator. Can you give me the Cliff Notes of your journey?
I started off as a middle school math teacher, 6 years, 7th grade, 8th grade, 6th grade, and then transitioned to an instructional coach, which was actually K-8 charter districts, so 3 different schools in all subject areas, so just helping with pedagogy and instructional approach. And then I transitioned to an assistant principal for 2 years, and currently I'm an associate director at an independent school.
All right. You've described yourself as an ineffective teacher to someone who has received the highest award when it comes to an educator. What do you mean by ineffective, and how did we turn that around?
Yeah, I didn't say I was an ineffective teacher. I said I was a terrible teacher.
Oh.
because I was. My first year, I did not know what I was doing. I remember, first of all, even struggling to get into the classroom because having to take the praxis and failing and just entering the classroom feeling inadequate already. Then being thrown into a situation where I didn't know what was going on. In college, classroom management, I got an A. In real life classroom management, I had no idea what I was doing. Students were up, they were running around. I couldn't engage them, and their data at midway through the year was worse than the beginning of the year when they first started. So
that has to be tough as the teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be hard.
Of course, because the reason why I stepped into education was because I always told myself I wanted to be the teacher that I always needed and never had. I always felt like I was missing something, and I said, I want to help. I want every single student to know there's somebody in the building that loves for you, that cares for you, that supports you, and that person is me. So to then get in the classroom and feel like I'm doing students a disservice, it completely crushed my morale. So the reason why I said I was a terrible teacher was because in my brain, the promise that I had given to students was that I'd help you realize your best self, and I was doing the opposite. So that's why I consider myself terrible.
How'd you turn it around?
I realized that I was enough. And what I realized was I have special gifts, talents, and abilities. Like, there is something super amazing about me, and that who I was made to be is exactly who somebody else needs to see. And that when I leverage my uniqueness, that's going to allow me to make the impact that only I can. Once I learned that, that's when the game changed.
Where do you see most teachers struggling? Is it in that first year? Is it in those early years? Is it trying to find who they are as a teacher?
All of the above. Definitely early on, trying to find who they are. A lot of times it's dealing with has nothing to do with the content. In most cases, the teachers honestly that I've seen struggling the most over my career have nothing to do with not knowing the content knowledge and not knowing things. It's just about the actual engaging of the students and teaching the information, delivering it in such a way that students actually want to receive and retain it.
So what's your advice then? How do you help those teachers?
Well, we do a lot. So actually, I lead the Impact community, which is a community of teachers where we support one another to really help them. We have an opportunity to ask questions, to talk about wins, what things are working currently in my classroom, what are some things you're struggling with. There's hundreds of teachers from all across the world, and one of the things that we talk about are the 6 principles of effective instruction. One of the most common principles, we do an assessment with every teacher and we see like what is the thing that you're struggling with currently in your classroom that is going to be the biggest needle mover that leads to improvement. And the most common response is with student engagement. And the way that we work on that is we talk about strategies and strategies that are working today. Like what is working in 2025 and beyond. We've even gone as far as to pull from short form content strategies. Like what are some of the things that are working on TikTok, on Instagram, that make these videos want to be watched and go viral, and how can we understand some of those same principles and apply it to our classroom?
That's interesting because, for so long I think we've heard, and I've thought that teachers are battling with social media and with phones in the classroom and with battling for attention with all these devices that are pulling, the attention for students. But I guess maybe it's best to adopt a mindset of if you can't beat them, join them.
Right, and some people would take it a little too far and think I'm saying that means we need to incorporate technology more. We need to give them cell phones. That's what they're engaged with. We need to gamify everything. That's not what I'm saying. Understand the principle why they want to stay on the video game for 4 hours. What is hooking them about that game, and how can we apply some of those same strategies to the classroom?
What does it mean to be 99% human, 1% amazing?
99% human, 1% amazing is actually rooted in the biological truth that all humans are 99% the same when it comes to our DNA. And when we look at all the DNA base pairs, 99% of all human DNA is the same because of the non-coding DNA. The only thing that differentiates us is our coding DNA, which is just 1% of the DNA that exists in our body. So when I heard that and researched it and thought about it, I just said there has to be some intentionality behind the fact that every individual walking around here is only 1% different. And sometimes we view that 1% as if it's a deficiency instead of viewing that 1% as if it's our amazing. So what it means to be 99% human, 1% amazing is that there's 1% about you that literally nobody else that has ever lived will be able to have access to. But so often we view that and we hide it instead of highlight it. But once we learn how to highlight the 1% that sets us apart, that's what allows us to make the difference that only we can.
I love that. That's fascinating. Okay, final question for you. Can you finish this sentence for me?
Okay.
To be most effective as an educator, to be that teacher that has the lasting impact on a child's trajectory, you should focus on?
You should focus on maximizing your uniqueness, leveraging the differences that literally only you can.
All right, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, Altria.
Looking for more science education content? Click right here to find the NSTA TV playlist and enjoy.